These are the 10 most expensive vintage t-shirts in my collection. So we do have a few more than 10 on the rack, so there are some honorable mentions, so make sure to stick around until the entire video is done. But this was actually really hard for me. A lot of my tees are around the, like, I'd say $200 to $300-ish range, but all of these, almost all of these, are $1,000 plus. So if you guys want to see some $1,000+ vintage t-shirts, make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe for more vintage and thrifting content. I'm going to be going from number 10 all the way up until number 1 with some honorable mentions thrown in. First honorable mention is this Mononoke that's on body. I mean, this one out the gate, I got this one this year. Super happy to have gotten this one in my collection finally. And this one at the lowest, I'd value around like $600-ish. Not all of these tees I did acquire this year. This is just out of my entire vintage t-shirt collection, which is probably like 600+ t-shirts. These are my most expensive ones. And there's a couple in here that I've never even shown before. So make sure to stick around. Number 10 was actually really hard to figure out because it was kind of like a tie between like 10 shirts in my collection. This one's around like current day market, I'd say around like $700-800. It used to be around $1,000 shirt, and I have a lot of shirts that are around that like $700 mark, but I did decide to do this one for number 10 just out of principle because it is one of my more favorite t-shirts in my collection. We have the Akira on the Power Pro Anita size XL, and this one I've had in my collection for a couple years actually, with the back hit, single stitch all the way around. Like I said, current day market on this one I think is around like $700-800, but at one point in time it was around $1,000 shirt. So this one's going to be my number 10, the Akira. My number 9 is actually one of my favorite tees in my collection. If you guys follow me on Instagram, this is a tee that I post a lot. I make a lot of content with this tee because a lot of people enjoy this anime. A lot of people love this anime. It's more of a deep cut, but not really because it got very popular over TikTok. But this is my Serial Experiments Lane. We have the chain link fence design, and this one is XL on a Fruit of the Loom tag. This is actually my favorite Fruit of the Loom tag right here, the big boxy one with all of the fruits, the colorful fruits right there. And I don't only have one of these bad boys, but I have 2 of these bad boys. I first bought this tee in 2020, right before COVID, and I paid $300 for it. It was the most I'd ever spent on a shirt. And now this tee is around the $1,000 mark. I've seen it go for more. I've seen it go for like a little bit less. I got my original one, which is this one right here in my hand, for $300 in 2020. And then I purchased this one, I think in 2021 for around $600. And like I said, they're both around like $1,000 shirt now. I constantly get asked, where do you find them? How much are they? They're around $1,000 and they do not pop up often for sale. These are my Lane chain link fence tees, and this is number 9 on the list. All right, number 8 is a very special tee for me. I'm so happy to finally have acquired a vintage Slowdive tee. I've been after a vintage Slowdive tee for a long time. I actually started collecting vintage through band tees, and I've been a big shoegaze fan for a long time, hence the name Loveless Vintage. It is a My Bloody Valentine reference. I do get asked here and there, and yes, it's a My Bloody Valentine reference. So My Bloody Valentine, Slowdive, some of my favorite bands. I actually got to see Slowdive live, I think at the beginning of this year, so that was really cool. Shout out to Sabrina for this tee. She hooked me up on a really good deal. I value this tee around $1,000 or more. Vintage Slowdive tees do not pop up often for sale. This one has a front and back hit. It is on a paper early 90s Screen Stars tag, and yeah, this one I value around $1,000 or more. This one is number 8. I put it above the Lane tee just because I see the Lane tee pop up more for sale than I do Slowdive tees, especially this one. I don't think I've seen this one for sale before. Okay, number 7. So we are entering the territory of Twin Peaks. I am a Washington native, and a decent amount of Twin Peaks was filmed in my area. It's just had a soft spot in my heart forever. It's one of my favorite shows. Besides The Office, it's my favorite TV show ever. So the next couple tees are Twin Peaks tees, and 2 of them I have not hard revealed yet on Instagram or YouTube or anywhere. So these are going to be a first. But this one, you guys probably have seen it. It's hung up on my wall a lot the past like year or so. This is the Laura Palmer like prom homecoming tee. It's got the dual images kind of like flipped side by side, and this one is dated 1990. I bought this I think at the end of 2021 or somewhere in 2022, and I did pay I think 1.1K for it. It's a very rare one that does not come up for sale often, so I do value this one right around that like 1.2 to like 1.5K. And the thing about a lot of these like prices and tees too is, you know, it's all subjective. It's all worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. Maybe some of these tees on this list you've seen sell for less, maybe more, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's all about like time and place, what it's worth to like a collector, and all these tees are in my personal collection. I value them very high. They're tees that I would not sell, so I'm going to be valuing them on the higher end. And this tee to me, with its rarity and everything like that, I do value it over $1,000. This is like one of my favorite designs. The colors are just amazing. I love these random little like triangles that are on a lot of Twin Peaks tees. So that is going to be my number 7, is this Laura Palmer Twin Peaks tee. All right, I'm beyond excited to show you guys these next two. I have not posted these anywhere. I've like previewed them a little bit on my Instagram. We have 2 more Twin Peaks tees, and these are 2 Twin Peaks tees I thought I would never own. They're like grails. One of them, I don't think I've ever seen another one. Maybe I've seen one other one, but this one I've seen pop up like maybe twice for sale. This one is the Special Agent Dale Cooper. We got him in the tuxedo. This one is absolutely insane. This one is on an SSI tag. A lot of Twin Peaks tees are on Stanley DeSantis, or like the better ones like this, the more rare ones, are on this SSI tag. So this one rarely ever comes up for sale. This one and the next one I'm going to show were found together actually at a Goodwill outlet a couple years ago, and I purchased them from not the person that found them, but this person that I purchased them from. Shout out to Chance. I don't know if he watches the YouTube videos, but he's a homie. He was actually kind of bidding against me to get these tees when they first came out, and someone found them and posted about them, and I think he paid, I think it was like over $3,000 for both of these. So that's around like 1.5K a shirt or more. I think it was actually more at that time. I ended up buying both of them from him, I think at the very beginning of this year, and I paid nowhere near that. I forget what I actually did pay, but I paid nowhere near that. These are 2 tees that I'm extremely excited to finally have in my collection. When they were first found in the thrift and someone posted about them, I like actually couldn't believe it, because one of them I'd never even seen before, and then this one I think I've only seen like once or twice, and they never really pop up for sale. The 1990 dating Lynch Frost production, single stitch all the way around. This one is in like dead stock condition basically. These rival for some of my favorite tees in my collection. Insanely rare and hard to find, very valuable. I would value this one like no less than like 1.5K just based on rarity and how like little I've seen it pop up being a Twin Peaks collector over the past like 5-6 years. Like I never find these tees like pop up for sale. This is going to be number 6. Number 5, we are at the halfway point, and honestly the fact that this isn't in the top 3 is kind of mind-blowing to me. But with Twin Peaks tees, it is, I feel like, a smaller like collector base, and I've never seen a Twin Peaks tee itself go for around like the $2,000 mark, and some of the tees at the end are around the $2,000 mark. So out of principle, for the top 10 like most expensive tees, I have to place it where it belongs, and I think this is a very, very solid number 5. This is my favorite Twin Peaks tee I own, and probably the rarest Twin Peaks tee I own. I don't think I've ever seen another one for sale. This is the Laura Palmer wrapped in plastic Twin Peaks promo tee. SSI Express tag, size XL. This one is, I mean, one of the most iconic scenes in the series on episode 1 when they find Laura Palmer wrapped in plastic on the beach. I do have a Laura Palmer tattoo. It's like a QP version tattoo of this like image basically. So this is like the scene from Twin Peaks, and it's crazy to have it on a shirt in this big graphic print with the super detailed print and colors. This one is also dated and licensed 1990 Lynch and Frost Productions. I can't believe I own these tees. This is one of my favorite tees in my collection. I'm very excited to finally like share it because I haven't posted it or anything. This one needs to get posted on my Instagram soon, but this one is number 5. Number 4, we're going to be going back into some anime tees now. This one is a little bit hard to pin down because I've only seen the one sold in the past few years, and it was to me, and I did buy it for lower than I value it. But if you guys ask any Neon Genesis Evangelion like collector, this is one that you guys don't see pop up often. We have the Shinji Ikari with his mom, Yui. You like never see her on tees because she's not a big part of the anime series. In a way she is, but you don't see her a lot in the anime series. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it, but this one is on a Delta Magnum weight double XL. It is pretty big and boxy on me, but my friend, shout out my friend Scott, actually thrifted this and hit me up when he found it and wanted to know more info on it because he knows I collect Ava tees. And I was like freaking out. I was like, dude, this is a grail. This is one that like I've been after. Let me know if you decide to sell it. We ended up working out a deal. He wanted to sell it to me for my collection, so that's where it stayed for the past, I think, like 2 years or so since I've owned it. And I personally value this one around like 1.5 plus. Like I said, it's kind of hard to like determine value on this one because most of these Neon Genesis tees on like the Delta tags, you know, they can range anywhere from, you can get lucky and get like them for maybe like $400 or $500 if you snipe one, but I feel like most of them are around that like $700 to like maybe $1,000 mark. But this one is just so rare. I don't think I've seen anyone else sell this one, like I said, for the past couple years. So value on this one, it was pretty hard to pin down, but I personally valued around like 1.5K. Yeah, this one is, I think, my favorite Neon Genesis Delta Tag variation. There's a lot of these Delta Tag variations, but this one I think is like harder to find than those. This one I think is rare. So this one is going to be my number 4 in my collection, valued around 1.5K. We have entered the top 3. So my top 3 most expensive tees. Let's waste no time. We got another anime banger. We have the Serial Experiments Lane Euro Screen Star size XL. Posted this one on my Instagram recently of me wearing this one, and this one is absolutely insane. Dated 2000 Triangle Staff Pioneer license. The color, the details, the graphic on this one are just untouchable. And I did actually see this one sell recently for $2,000. I think it was right around $2,000. Might have been a little bit more, a little bit less, but that's basically what I value this one around. I think I paid just over $1,000 when I bought it, or maybe a little bit less. I forget. It was like 2 years ago since I've had this tee in my collection. This one does not pop up for sale often, if at all. I think I've only seen a couple for sale in the past like couple years. Officially licensed Lane tees, I think there's only like 5 or so, and I have 3 in my collection, and the one that I need, it haunts me because I've had an opportunity to buy it like twice now. Lane tees, very rare, very expensive. People don't want to sell them. They don't pop up for sale a lot. That's why I value this one around $2,000. Top 2, baby. I made a reel about this one recently and also posted this one on my Instagram. This one is the Disney Employee Spirited Away promo tee from 2002. So this tee is extremely rare because it was only given to Disney employees around the 2002 North American release of the film. This is on a Yellow Bar Anvil size XL tee, and I confirmed know that this shirt sold for 2.5K recently. My friends at Final Flame Vintage, Henry and Haley, had one for sale. The only XL in the world for sale recently sold, because mine's an XL, but it's not for sale. It's never been for sale, and I think they were trying to get around $3,000 for it, and I think they settled for around 2.5K. It's extremely rare. It's a favorite movie of many people. It's extremely nostalgic, and good luck finding another one for sale. XL, mine is never for sale. I value mine around 2.5 to 3K. Would never sell it. This is one of the tees in my collection I would never sell. This is number 2 in my collection. Number 1, we do have some honorable mentions at the end, but number 1, some of you guys can probably guess this, but this is my Kiki's delivery service blue Euro Screen Stars tees. What can be said? What can be said? So I value these around, people are gonna think I'm crazy. I mean, I value these like minimum around like 2,000. I think that's a super realistic price. I did sell my other ones. I've had 3 of these now, but I spent 1.6K on this one, I believe. This one in my hand right here. I bought it from my friend Tyler. Shout out to Anime Tees. He sold me this one for 1.6K. He had a 2K offer when he sold it to me, and he decided to sell it to me. He knew that I would appreciate it more, and I do. It's still in my collection. I ended up sniping another one. I don't think I've ever said it like super publicly, but I sold that one for $3,000 to a collector in Japan. I didn't want to sell it. They kept bugging me about it. There were actually 2 people that really wanted to buy it from me, and they both were offering around like 2,000-ish, and I just kept saying no, like I really don't want to sell it. He came up to $3,000. I have sold this shirt before for $3,000. That does not mean that's what I value it, because that was like a one-time thing. I don't think that's ever going to happen again, but I have had offers. When I posted that I had a double up, I did have offers around $2,000. I mean, minimum 2,000, maximum 3. This one's like a little bit of like subject for debate, but it's also like my favorite team in my collection because Kiki's Delivery Service is like one of my favorite movies. It's the first Ghibli movie that I saw. It holds a very special place in my heart, so I feel like I have to put this as number 1 in terms of value, just because it has more value than monetary to me. All of these tees do, but monetary value, I have sold this tee before for $3,000, which is kind of crazy to me. I do have 2 in my collection right now. They're both not for sale, but I'm entertaining trades on one of them, and the only thing I'd really trade for it would be a vintage Berserk tee or the vintage Lane tee that I'm missing out of my collection. Those are like the only 2 things I'd really trade for it. That is my number 1 most expensive tee. I do have 2 honorable mentions because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I got into collecting vintage through band tees, and it was mainly through like hardcore and punk band tees. I did want to show a band tee that surprised me recently. I was looking through my band tee collection, and I do have a lot of Earth Crisis band tees. If you guys know them, they are a 90s vegan straight edge hardcore band. I am vegan and straight straight edge. I have an Earth Crisis tattoo. They had a very big impact in my life when I was younger, and I still love their music today. I was looking through some of my hardcore tees to see if any have like sold for crazy amounts recently, and this exact long sleeve on bid recently went for I think like $700 on bid on eBay in sold listings. I don't know if people just like bid it up to an obscene amount. Most of these Earth Crisis tees, like Firestorm designs and stuff, they're like harder to find, especially like the hoodie version, the long sleeve version. So this one has like the victory print down the sleeve. It has the Earth Crisis logo down the sleeve, and then it has the repeating logo on the back. This one's pretty thrashed. I actually got this at a vintage convention in Texas, I think a couple years ago, and I think I paid like $60 for it. So I got a great deal. At that time, I valued it around like 200 or so. I mean, if I wouldn't have known this sold for like $700 on bid recently, I'd say like it's probably like a $200 tee. I'm pretty out of touch with like the hardcore band tee market because I haven't been buying that in like the past couple years or selling it in the past couple years. So I would have bought this tee like back in 2014 for like $50. A lot of my collection is hardcore band tees that I don't really show or talk about on the channel. I know there's a few select people that have wanted me to make videos about them. I do plan on doing it in the future, but it's more of like a niche thing that doesn't get like the attention that all my other videos would. So hopefully you guys do understand that. I will try to do some more like hardcore related vintage stuff in the future. And then my last honorable mention is one of my favorite bands, well, artists, I guess. Say what you guys want to about Morrissey because I'm right there with you. I don't think he's an amazing person, but the Smiths is my favorite band of all time. I think Morrissey is like one of the greatest lyricists that I've ever heard. His lyrics have had an immense impact on my life. So I did want to throw this one in because this one is a crazy parking lot bootleg that I got a couple years ago. It has the November Spawned a Monster single art on the front and then like a sold out like tour dates on the back. And this one recently on eBay, I think sold for like $500. I just searched like vintage Smiths, vintage Morrissey, and like looked at the highest price. And I was like, oh, I actually have this shirt and it's like around $500 or like that's what it sold for. I don't think I'd personally value it that high, but since the Smiths is like my favorite band, I wanted to throw one in here. I wanted to throw in some band tees, not just like anime tees into the mix. Anime and Twin Peaks are basically my highest like price stuff in my collection, but did want to throw some band tee stuff in there. Yeah, these are my top 10 most expensive tees as of the end of 2024. If you guys want to see more content like this, exploring my vintage collection, maybe ranking some of my tees, let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you guys liked the video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and Happy New Year, guys. I will see you guys in 2025 with a lot more YouTube videos. Be safe out there. Love you guys for supporting, and this is Jackson with Loveless Vintage. I'll see you guys in the next video.